Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Pam Torrey. I'm the marketing director at Ingage, and thank you so much for joining us for today's conversation, Solving Your Training Troubles, with Ingage, Leap, and our special guest, NewPro. Just to give you a quick orientation to how Zoom works, although I know we've all been on a million webinars in the last 18 months, if you have any questions during the course of the webinar, please use the Q&A feature that's at the bottom of your screen. So if you hover your mouse over the screen that has the first slide, you'll see Q&A at the bottom. Click on that guy and just drop your questions in there. That'll let us be able to better track your questions. And if we can't answer them live during the webinar, we'll be able to easily follow up with you afterwards. If you're having any issues with being able to hear us or any other comments during the course of the webinar, please feel free to use that chat feature. That is in the same bar at the bottom with the Q&A. All of our attendees are in listen-only mode. It just lets us be able to have a clearer conversation for you. And yes, we are going to be recording this webinar and sending out to anybody who registered and was not able to make it. So without further ado, let's dive on in and get into the agenda for today. Let's see. Great. So first, we're going to quickly meet the speaker. So I'll introduce you to the three lovely gentlemen on this call with me. And then we're going to dive right on into the topic. So today's training challenges and how NewPro is approaching all of them and coming up with innovative solutions. And then at the end, we'll do a wrap up. And just as a special treat, somebody on this webinar who stays through to the end is actually going to win an iPad. So little inducement to stay on the webinar. If you are here at the end of this call, you could be one of the lucky winners of a brand new iPad. Great. So let's meet our team. So we have Charlie from Ingage, we have Tom from Leap, and then we've got Pete from NewPro. So I think first we'll go ahead and hand it off to Tom at Leap to introduce himself and Leap to our audience. Tom, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Pam. Really excited to be here. I've been in the industry for a little over 20 years and started out, in actually installing roofs and got into project management and sales. And I've been on the technology side for now the last 5 or so years, and really excited about what we're doing here at Leap. This is, as it says, right, we're transforming the home services industry. And so Leap really does everything from surveys and assessments to creating estimates in just seconds, to generating proposals and contracts, creating work orders, tech measure sheets. I mean, really any document that you may need. But you can also use it to submit for and gain approval of financing. You can capture credit cards and checks with it. You have a resource section, which has great access to your Engage presentations within there. And it's everything that a sales rep needs when they go out to present, as well as folks like a tech measure who may go back to field verify measurements or those kind of things. So really excited to be here. I love our partnership that we have with Ingage, and NewPro's been a great customer. So I'm excited to hear from Pete.
All righty. I think we've got Charlie up next just to quickly introduce himself and let you know who we at Ingage are.
Hey everybody, I lead the sales team here at Ingage and been focused in helping home service customers present and differentiate themselves in the home. So really excited to be here today and talk about how you guys can help your teams with their training, especially with all the challenges we're facing these days in the industry. For those of you who haven't had an opportunity to meet us here at Ingage, we are the leading presentation platform in the home services space to help you guys execute on your sales process by putting together very visual, very professional in-home or virtual sales presentations. More importantly than just your presentation is really the ability to manage and measure that content. Consistency is key to help grow your team. And so with Engage, you have the opportunity to distribute your content out to all your end users, ensure that's always up to date, on brand, and available offline out in the field at a customer's homes. But where we've really seen results for customers is being able to add some accountability to your sales process. So how is your team going through that training? How are they following that process in the home? And so understanding from a presentation down to the page level, how you can help your team and build more consistency into the in-home and virtual presentations you guys are doing to your customers. So excited to be here today. More importantly, excited to have our friend Pete from NewPro and get you guys some really powerful information today. So with that, I'll introduce our guest of honor. Pete, thanks for being here today. Let's unmute you first.
How's it going? Now you can hear me.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for joining today. Really appreciate you being here, as always. For everybody joining today, I just want everybody to understand the depth of experience you have and give us a little bit of background about yourself and NewPro and what you guys are doing today before we dive in.
Sure. I've been in the home improvement industry for over 20 years now, from windows, siding, roofing, bath replacements, decks, just about anything you can do with the home. I'm pretty technology savvy, so I've used some different technologies out there and got familiar with many of them. NewPro is a 75-year-old family-owned company. We're a third-generation company that has been serving New England families for 75 years. And our goal here is to make family members out of all of our community members, because we wouldn't be here without them. And we do everything we can, especially through some of these crises that we've seen, being able to support them as well. And just being that pillar for the community is what our goal is.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Pete. I'm just going to quickly give you an idea of what we're going to be talking about with the challenges before I hand off to Tom and Charlie to have a deeper conversation with Pete. So the big points we're going to hit on today are that business has been at a record-breaking pace for over a year. It's been about 18 months of just nonstop. We've had labor shortages, we've had hiring crises, we've had issues where you just don't have the teams to meet the demand. We've had back-to-back training classes because everybody's trying to hire at a breakneck pace. And on top of all of that, the mighty supply chain, the almighty supply chain and the production delays. So let's dive on into this conversation, and I'm going to hand off to Tom. Tom, let's dig in.
Yeah, awesome. Appreciate it. Well, Pete, I'm excited to have this conversation. I guess as Pam had mentioned here, one of the first things that we wanted to talk about is how you have been dealing with this high volume, and we've been seeing it now for a while. So curious to know how that's impacted your team at NewPro, and how do you keep the team from getting burnt out?
It's a great question. The last 18 months has been crazy. The last 2 years have been pretty crazy. We've seen our business almost double, or actually more than double in the past 18 months. 18 months. So we're closing in on $100 million this year. And yeah, taking a break hasn't been easy. But few things we've been able to do is rearrange our schedule a bit for our sales team. So our sales reps now, we try to encourage them to take at least one night off a week. Our sales team now on Fridays, we don't run evening appointments, so we're giving them Friday nights off. We changed our schedule on Saturdays to allow them to get home earlier to spend time with their family. So we only run 2 appointments now on Saturday. And you would think cutting these things down would actually hurt the business, but we've seen our productivity skyrocket. Actually, closing rates have gone up, volume's gone up. And then, you also have the challenge with the people in the office, and they're working twice as hard with the volume that we have. So luckily with volume like that does come some opportunities. So we're able to hire some other people. But we also want the people here not to get overwhelmed. So we've actually worked a summer schedule where we're trying to let everybody out early on Fridays if they come in just an extra early during the day, during the week. We don't have any of them come in on Saturdays. So, we try to do what we can for all the employees so that they're at the right mindset when they come into work.
Yeah, that's interesting. What was the reception from the team like when you gave them sort of their Friday evenings back and Saturdays, in the afternoon or so with their families? What's that been like?
It was a shock. A lot of them didn't know what to do, and we tried it for a couple of months, and then Nicky decided he was going to do that for the rest of the year for the guys. So everyone's been pretty pumped about it. Getting that free time just to do the little things. I mean, in sales, you tend to run Monday through Saturday, and we even run optional Sundays if people want them. So finding time just to get an oil change is difficult. So they've all appreciated it.
Yeah, it's an interesting approach, and I imagine it's also helped with the culture there.
Yes, it has. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll hand off to Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, Pete, to that point, I think this is a good segment, not only in the home services industry, but especially for, companies that we work with and we're familiar with. Hiring across the industry has just been extremely difficult. And more importantly, finding the right talent to help you guys achieve these goals, and the growth opportunities you guys are seeing. What are you guys doing internally to help find that right talent to support the team and your growth expectations?
Yeah, we've actually focused a lot on that over the past 18 months. We started off investing in a thing called predictive index, which is basically lining up people's personalities to positions. And we find that when people take that assessment, we can see if they're fit more for a social type of position, which would be a sales rep position, or if they're more of an analytical position where they could be working in the office. So we try not to miss on good opportunity just from starting with that nice predictive index. Then we hired a recruiter, Ashley, our recruiter. She's done a great job, spends her entire day just looking at those PIs, going through interviews, going through all the social networking, and finding some really great people. She handles the initial interviews for us. And if they can pass through Ashley, they get passed on to our sales managers and our production managers. And from there, if we like that person on that interview, if they're a great person for this position, we'll hire them on the spot. But most people, we prefer to have a panel interview, get 2 to 3 people to interview them, make sure that they're right for the team, the right culture, the right mindset. And then we bring them on board and we put them to a nice training. Everything's been organized and detailed for all of our new hires.
Yeah, Pete, to that, I'm curious, NewPro, especially in the New England area, is a pretty big name. Are you guys doing anything online that you're seeing result in, people reaching out and looking for a job at NewPro?
Yeah, we post on Facebook, we post on LinkedIn. We're always on Glassdoor, Indeed. And, the one thing that has been good for us is we have a lot of employee-backed surveys that go on, like the reps or employees will go on Glassdoor and give reviews. We've partnered with like the Boston Globe for best businesses in Massachusetts, best businesses in the country, top businesses to work for. So all those things being out on the social networking platforms has really been a benefit, along with our in-house. I mean, the amount of referrals that we get from existing employees has been great. We've probably seen more in the past year than I've ever seen in this industry. People bringing in friends, family members, just to get a job and doing some position here.
Yeah. What's that referral program look like?
Yeah. So we have a referral program where anybody who refers somebody qualifies for a couple $1,000 as long as the person lasts here for, when they get hired, you get a little bit, they last for 6 months and you get the remainder of it. I think it's 1,000 and 1,000 for each. And that's been really good. And that's just getting existing employees looking for people as much as recruiter is.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like between you guys getting your name out there, you mentioned the Boston Globe, the Inc. 5000 best places to work, as well as just having a really strong culture, your employees in that referral program is really helping you. Has that helped with your churn on the team?
Yeah, we have a pretty low churn, especially in the sales team. We started the year with somewhere around, I don't know, just around 50 reps. We're closing in at just over 62, 63 right now. The in-house people, I haven't seen many people leave this company in the past couple of years. It's been pretty phenomenal. Even through the crisis, the Coglianis really took care of the employees. They did what they could to keep this business going, and they did a great job.
Yeah. And I think a core component of that, we're going to dive in and talk about your process and how you equipped your team. which I think is a really strong component. So I'll pass this back to Tom to start to lead that discussion.
Yeah, awesome. This is really interesting. You know, I think it's funny because you hear so much out there about the Great Resignation and about a lot of employees leaving, and it sounds like Pete, you've got a really strong culture, and the people that are there or stay there, so a high retention rate. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Yeah.
I think if you go to anybody in any department here, that you'll see smiles on their face. We just like to have fun every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's really good. It's encouraging to hear. I'd love to, as we transition into this next part, I'd like to know how you're leveraging technology, in your training and helping the business grow as quickly as it has grown.
Sure. Technology's played a big part, and it's going to continue to as we do grow. Our partnership with Ingage really changed the game for us quite a bit. That now allows us to send out nice welcome emails with a presentation that has some great preliminary information for new hires. So the onboarding process starts much earlier thanks to that initial email from Ingage. And then when we bring people in, we have some great presentations that our HR department uses for insurances and all that. And the Engage presentation really walks them through nice and easy with the different type of page formats. It's been pretty nice. I personally have created probably 30 different presentations, from sales presentations, 7 products that we offer, and then a bunch of different training programs that have it's been great to have one place to go and get them, and being able to use different formats and have more information in less space.
Pete, I imagine that for a lot of the new people that you bring in that are seeing this presentation for the first time, they've got to look at you a little funny. Like, this is something I haven't not seen before, and the functionality and some of the things you're doing. Like, well, what are you doing? I mean, what's their reaction?
It's pretty surprising. I mean, this industry's gone from sales reps being in the house with flip books and just flipping one page over another, just basically speaking at a customer. And the Engage platform has allowed us to engage and be interactive with our customer. Now it's the customer can push on a screen. It's not a PowerPoint where you're just swiping pages. We can get information when we need it. If we don't need it, we don't have to show it, but it's all right there. It's available. It's quick. It's easy. And, customers seem to like it. We've shortened our presentations down. Gosh, I want to say our company story now is about 8 pages. And when I started, it's probably around 25.
Wow. What from an analytics standpoint, like, what are you able to leverage and gain from those analytics that have helped?
Yeah, like Charlie was mentioning earlier, I want to know what's working and what's not working in a presentation. So we have the ability to go in there and pull up a specific sales rep, a specific presentation, and then each page in that presentation, and see how much time the rep is spending on that page, or how many times they're actually going through that page. And if I start to see trends where a lot of reps aren't using a certain page, then I have to ask, is that page worth having in there? And then I look at the reps who are really successful. What are they really doing every day? And how can I get others to do that by showing them that information? And it's been really helpful in adjusting and making these presentations to what they are today.
That's fantastic use of it. I'd also like to ask you, I remember when I started in sales, and I went through this entire training, and they had to teach me, how to measure a roof, to how to put together an estimate, how to transfer that information to put together a proposal. And then, God forbid, the customer wanted, a different type of proposal. I had to go back to scratch, and it was just a nightmare trying to do all that. And I'd love to hear, obviously you guys use Leap. How has that impacted the sales team's ability to be out in the field quicker, or give them some maybe not have to spend as much time teaching them the nuances of estimating and selling?
Sure. I mean, when I started at NewPro, we were still doing paper contracts. And if you made a mistake, you had to rip that up and start it over again. And it would take hours for a sales rep to complete their paperwork, from being in a house to a contract, to bringing it back into the office to do work orders, to get production ready. When we found Leap, when we partnered with you guys, we were able to make everything electronic. So we don't have paper contracts anymore. quoting, we don't have to worry about reps actually using calculators and making sure the numbers come out right. The quoting software is perfect. It just works out every time. It's nice, easy to read, and it's easy to prepare a quote. And on the flip side, once a deal is made or an agreement's made with a customer, our reps are able to get production, all the information that they need while they're still in the house with the customer. So they can literally leave a house after an appointment and all of their paperwork, their resulting, because it ties directly into our CRM, all of it's done and they don't have to worry about it. They're just literally on to the next one instead of having to wait to come into an office and spend another couple hours just to go through yesterday's stuff.
Yeah. And Pete, selfishly, as had a customer experience here at Leap, what is this? What is the impact been to the customer, your customer's experience?
The customer loves the time save. I mean, that's the big thing is, we spend an hour and a half, 2 hours in a customer's home. Last thing we want to do is spend another hour just doing paperwork. And with our quoting software and being able to transfer it directly into an agreement, that takes about 5 minutes now. And all the paperwork takes about 7 minutes. And you're completely done with everything. And customers love it. They have one place. It's all electronic. They don't have to worry about finding papers. It's all housed right on the computer. Whenever they need it, they can get it.
Yeah, and then I'd also like to know, with this technology and the way that you're training your new sales reps. I mean, what do you for NewPro? What does the future of that look like? Like, how are you going to put in a system or processes in place to be able to train and enable these teams going forward?
Sure. Right now, I'm trying to document all the training. You guys have some great training material that you've provided as well, but we're also working with an LMS which is a learning management system that we can put these individual trainings on the computer so people don't have to be here in a classroom to learn every bit of information about Leap, about Ingage, about the sales process, about closing. They can do it at their pace a little bit easier than having to worry about too many people in class. Even in other departments, them being able to sit down before they start their actual position and go through some training classes, which somebody's not responsible to be there to teach it's a big time saver for us to be able to do an LMS.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes a lot of sense. Charlie, I didn't know if you had any other questions for Pete on that topic.
Yeah, so I want to dive a little bit deeper into the technology you're using. Somebody asked a question, Pete, and I think it's helpful for the context of how you're training and building more consistency. And so the question was, how many presentations do your reps have? And I think adding some context around how you've broken up the training with the sales, and then obviously, how you structure all of the different products that NewPro handles in the home services space as well.
Sure. Our business is set up. We have a North division, a South division, and then what we call an HI division. The North and South division do windows and baths, respectively. So our North division has a window and bath team. South has window and bath, and HI does all of our exterior, which is siding and roofing. And each individual product has its own presentation. So let me back up just 1 second here. Just all of the presentations themselves have the exact same company story. And that's one of the big parts about a presentation is that company story. So Ingage has allowed us to have that exact same for everything, and making one change, I can change it to all of those presentations at once. But then it goes off into different products. So each rep in their team will probably have 2 to 3 presentations that they can access at any given time. And then we have a separate folder. Ingage has this thing called Teams, where you can create different folders where reps can go, and that's where all the different trainings are on how to measure a bath or how to measure a window, and what's to look for in a bathroom when you're doing a remodel. So all those individual little tidbits are there whenever the sales reps need it. They want to just freshen up. It's right there for them.
Thanks, Pete. And so that kind of leads into what we're getting at. So you have your training classes, you're building culture, process, you're implementing technology to set these guys up for success out in the field. What comes first in that scenario?
Sure. there's always been a sales process. As long as I've been in sales and long before I was in sales, we always had a process. And, companies have through the years tried to find the best way to present that process to a customer to make it easy. And, like I had mentioned earlier, we had gone from flip books to PowerPoint presentations and now to Engage. So Engage has been able to work with us and develop this system that works great with our process that we've already had. And then on the flip side of it, because it's electronic contracts and everything, Leap has the technology that we've brought on board that's really taught us to do new things and do things differently. So we can be more efficient on the back end when it comes to installations, scheduling, ordering, and that's all due to technology. So it's a little bit of both, that the process is there because of the technology and the technology is there because of the process.
Yeah. So it seems like just over the course of your evolution and growing to be a top company in this industry, your sales process maybe has slightly changed, but you've found opportunities to enhance those systems. So from implementing your process in the home with a presentation, you're leveraging Engage from Flipbooks, and you've completely transformed and digitalized how you guys are quoting and building in consistency into your pricing and executing those agreements there. So training toward those things seems like it's stayed the same, but also you've found ways to significantly grow your company leveraging technology. And it seems like people are sticking around and they're doing really well because of that direction you guys took. That's awesome.
It's a lot of training to do. And the good thing is, people spend 2 to 3 weeks with me in a classroom just to learn everything that you need to learn to go out there and be successful. But the technology has really helped that. It used to be over a month that I would take to train somebody on just one product. And, now with Engage and how we can do things, I can do it in 2 to 3 weeks.
Pete, somebody was just asking kind of how long. So I think you from a high level answered that. Can you add a little bit more insight into that 2 to 3 weeks?
Sure. We have an onboarding process that we put together that really breaks out every day, every hour of every day of what I'm supposed to do, what the new employee is supposed to do. And it really keeps us all in line to make sure that the process is getting done the right way. With, being in the sales department, trying to understand sales and technology, it's a difficult thing for some people to do. So I'll probably spend, the first week really talking about sales process. And that second week is really technology and quoting and presentation, so that when they leave a class, they can pass a test with their manager of a full presentation and try to sell their manager. And then we'll allow them to go out there and talk to a customer.
That's awesome. So I'm going to shift this. Actually, one more. Pete, how do you guys handle remote training, or were you able to bring everybody into the classroom for that 2 to 3 week period over the course of the last 18 months?
I've done it in classroom. I haven't really done very much remote training, but we have used Zoom and Teams a lot from a sales management point of view to do their weekly meetings, their one-on-ones, just to keep the sales reps more engaged, that they're still part of the family, they're still part of the team. Same thing with in-house employees. When we started to let people work from home, being able to use things like Zoom and Teams was pretty beneficial and allowed us to continue to be successful and continue to make 5-star customers.
It's awesome to hear. So let's shift to some things that are a little bit less in your control. And I'll pass this over to Tom.
Yeah, this is a hot topic. Every time this, I have conversations like this, always comes up. And so I'm curious, how are you talking to your employees and customers regarding the delay in lead times? And, what are you doing to prevent cancellations?
Yeah, we've been pretty fortunate, as I knock on wood. Lead times have gotten pretty crazy. In some products, they could be out 15 to 22 weeks. And the good part of it is it's not something that's specific to NewPro. It's an industry-wide thing. So, being transparent with our customers is the first thing that's really worked for us, and just let them know that, it is going to be some time. This industry is hit pretty hard with COVID and trying to get people back to work, and manufacturers getting the supplies that they need to be able to make things. That these lead times, unfortunately, are just something that everyone has to deal with. What we've done is, we've put together an email platform that really constantly emails or texts a customer throughout the process while they're waiting. So we're constantly in contact with them. And we also created a department called client services, who will call a customer and just stay in touch with them through that entire process, from when that sale's made, that following day they're calling them, to the installation day they're calling them to make sure that that install is going in, that they're happy, that they don't have any questions, even after the install. It's their concierge is what we call it. And that's been a big part of keeping our customers and keeping them informed and stopping them from canceling. But the message from our sales team and from our in-house employees is really that if you're going to do a home improvement project and you're going to have these long delays, it's got to be important to them that the company they choose has been around and is going to be around for an extended period of time. And knowing the statistics of how many home improvement contractors go out of business every year and every 3 years, it's pretty scary about giving $20, $30, $40, $50,000 to just a person and hope they can do a project for you, not even knowing if that company's going to be around. So luckily, we've been here for 75 years. We pushed that. We've gone through, fuel crises, recessions, depressions, COVID, and we haven't stopped. We've continued to grow through every type of crisis this country's faced in the last 76 years, and that's really helped us.
Do you appreciate that? It's really helpful. Do you ever get pushback from your internal sales teams? Do they ever get discouraged, or maybe a customer expresses their frustration to them? I mean, how do you go about handling that?
Sure. Once that sale's made and the sales rep leaves, obviously the customer will call them. This is why we have that client services department that calls that very next morning and really introduces that they're that point person. So if the customer does have any questions or concerns, they're calling somebody in the office and not distracting a rep from doing his or her job. And they're just focused on out there creating happy customers and making sales.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned, there's a term for like the dark period, that time from the sale is sold to the time that the actual install takes place. Are you communicate? How often do you know how often you're communicating with the customer during that period? And is it about specific things like material, or is it your project's been pushed because of weather or whatever other delays? I mean, what triggers a communication with a homeowner?
Our systems do. It's more of a technology thing with our CRM and our ordering system that, once a sale's made, an email goes to the customer. Once, that welcome call's made from our client services, an email or a text will go to the customer. Once we've gone out there or scheduled a remeasure, an email or text goes to the customer. Once we've ordered products, it goes to the customer. Once that product gets received, that email, that text goes to a customer. And we call them and schedule that install. We email and we text them that install date. Having these touch points throughout the process it's been great.
And what were you doing, just out of curiosity, before leveraging technology to keep a homeowner engaged throughout this kind of dark period?
We were waiting for them to call us.
Okay.
I mean,
not a great
without the technology, we'd have to employ so many different people, which, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing to employ people, but it's a lot of employees just to do some touch points like that. And the technology's really saved a lot from a company point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. Charlie, I just want to see if you had any questions for Pete on that topic.
No, we're good. Thanks, Pete.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Pete, for bringing your wisdom and your experience to this conversation. I'm just, to wrap us up, I want to show everybody real fast how Leap and Ingage work together to help folks out in the home. We actually have a really cool integration now where you can click right out of Leap and pop into your Ingage presentation and then press another button in Ingage and fly back into Leap to do the rest of your sale. So that is shown here. If you have any questions about it or want to see a demo of it, feel free to let us know and we will go ahead and get that set up. Let's slide on into any Q&A that is left here. So if you have, like I said, if you have any questions, please drop your questions into the Q&A. I know we answered some of these at the during the conversation. Charlie was on top of it and grabbed all of those questions right out of there. Pete, I think that one that has come up from the Q&A and from various chats is just, what do you see as the next big innovation that you're going to be putting in place with your team and training? You've been on the cutting edge pretty much this entire time. What is your next step for your team?
Right now, we're in that step, and we've just partnered with ADP, which is the payroll company for us to develop an LMS system. So I'm going to start doing recordings of presentations and training so we can get it all digitalized. We can just make it nice and convenient for everyone. I think AR is going to be probably one of the next big things that comes out, being able to utilize that technology. And, I know Leap already partners with a company called Hover, and they've been pretty good at being able to communicate from one to another. So we have plenty of places that we can go, but that's where we're going to start is the educational, the learning management system.
Awesome. Tom, Charlie, you got any remaining questions for Pete?
Yeah, I'd just say, Pete, during your training process, I know it's shrunk down from like a month down to this 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, where do you see it shrinking from there? Like, what do you think is the most time consuming aspect of that training?
Well, that would probably tie directly to you and Leap. I mean, contracts is a difficult thing to train, especially when it's paper contracts, and every company that we work with, offering 7 different presentations and materials, that's 7 different contracts we used to have to teach to everyone, and we don't have that anymore. Everything's done in one form, and it really cuts probably 3 or 4 days out of just training.
Yeah. Are you still training on things like how to measure and how to sell? I mean, are those still kind of blocking and tackling things?
So that would be the first week is all sales training, sales process training, how to scope a job, how to sell a job. And then it's the technology that falls in behind it.
Yeah, it's awesome. No, I Pete, I really appreciate this. Like, for me, it's been really helpful. I enjoy learning as much as I can about, what you guys are doing. And so I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, I think somebody's about to win an iPad.
I can't wait.
Can I do a drum roll? Is that?
Yeah, we can do a drum roll. I just randomly picked somebody I put everybody with a number while Pete was going through his interview, and randomly picked somebody. So the winner is, it is Michael Dodlin. Michael, you have won the iPad, and I will email you and figure out an address to send it to. So you have won an iPad from your friends at Ingage and Leap.
Congratulations.
Sorry, Pete, next time.
Yeah, I'll keep trying.
Next time we'll just put your name in the hat, Pete, next time.
Appreciate it. That's all I ask. Just a chance.
We'll send a consolation pen to you, Pete.
Thanks.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Want to say thanks to Charlie and Tom for their great questions and conversation. And of course, Pete, we wouldn't be here without you. Thank you so much for bringing your insight and your industry knowledge to this conversation. Like I mentioned at the top of the webinar, we are going to be sending out a recording. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, our contact information is here. We will also put it in the email with the webinar recording. So feel free just to click that button and be able to get more information. But thank you so much, everyone, for attending. And we'll give you back a few minutes in your afternoon. Have a great day.